Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we will go to chapter 3, Introduction to Safety, part 1. So the learning outcome of this topic, students should be able to explain the history of OSH, describe the concept and definition of OSH, explain the development of OSHA in Malaysia. So first of all, we will go to the history of safety. Okay, the history of safety start with ancient Babylon in circa 2000 BC, where the ruler Hammurabi create Code of Hammurabi. So this Code of Hammurabi contain clauses dealing with injuries, allowable fees of physician and monetary damage assessed against those who injured others. After the ancient Babylon, in circa 1500 BC, the Egyptian civilization, where the ruler Ramesses II create an industrial medical services to care for workers. So the workers required to bath daily in the Nile River, given medical examination, and sick workers were isolated. After that, in Roman Empire, the Roman built aqueducts, sewerage system, public baths, latrines, and well-ventilated house. Okay, in 1567, in German Renaissance, Philippus Aurelius produced a treatise on the pulmonary disease of minor, named on the minor sickness and other minor disease. So this treatise covered disease of smelter workers, metallurgists, and disease associated with handling and exposure to mercury. Also in German Renaissance, the Georges Agricola published his treatise De Re Metallica for emphasizing the needs for ventilation in mines and illustration of devices to introduce fresh air in mines. After that, in 18th century, Bernardino Ramazzini wrote Discourse on the Disease of Workers. He related occupational disease to the handling of harmful materials and to irregular or unnatural movement of the body. After the 18th century, the Industrial Revolution in 1760 until 1840 has introduced of inanimate power to replace human and animal, substitution of machine for people, introduction of new method to convert raw materials, organization and specialization in work. So the effect were potential of life-threatening injuries, increasing boredom, inattentiveness, and dangerous workplace environment. Okay, this is the milestone in the safety movement in United States of America. USA start from 1867, where Massachusetts introduced factory inspection, until 2014, where the pressure on the foreign company that produce goods sold in the United States to improve their safety standard. So you can read more details after 1867 until 2014. Okay, next is all about OSH. So what is OSH? The definition of OSH. First of all, what you need to understand is the safety. Safety is referred to as the prevention of accidents, particularly those resulting in physical injury. So while health is seen as a disease outbreak prevention, often involve a long period of time. So it involves reducing the risk of chemical, physical and biological agents that cause disease and illness. So occupational safety and health is a cross-disciplinary area concerned with protecting the safety, health and welfare of people engaged in the work or employment. So the OSH is a condition or factor that may affect occupational safety and health and all who at work, contractors and visitors. So the concept of OSH, which embrace of the philosophy of occupational safety and health principle that introduced by the Robbins Committee in the UK. Okay, the principle was the responsibility to ensure the safety and health rests with those who create risks and those who work with these risks. So this committee has proposed changes to legislation and administration of safety and health in the report of Committee on Safety and Health at Work in print July 1972. So now we go to definition of OSHA. So what is OSHA? OSHA stands for Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994. So this act is actually to make further provisions for securing the safety, health and welfare of person at work. So for protecting others against risk to safety or health in connection with the activities of person at work. Okay, so what is the objective of OSHA? There are 4 objectives. First is to secure the safety, health and welfare of person at work against the risk to safety of health arising out of the activities of person at work. Second is to protect the person at a place of work other than person at work. Okay. Third is to promote an occupational environment for person at work which is adapt to their physiological and psychological needs. Fourth is to provide the means to be progressively replaced by a system of regulations and approved industry codes to maintain or improve the standard of safety and health. Okay, the history of OSH. So the history of OSH, the role of occupational safety and health in Malaysia has been existence 120 years ago. Okay, starting with the safety of boiler and then for machinery safety. So followed by security industrial safety and health, and finally covering safety and health, covering all the sector. So history, role and development department can explain in five ages. Okay, for boiler safety era before 1914. So the occupational in safety and health duty are first carried out in Malaysia in year 1878, where the Mr. William Given was appointed as missionary inspector. So he was assigned to check the safety of boiler when it's mainly used in the tin mines. So around 1890s, the Perak state government has implemented inspection system by individuals, which a person qualification in the field of steam boiler is licensed to be a boiler surveyor. So in 1892, where 83 steam boiler in Perak, the boiler surveyor system was discontinued in 90s as C. Finman appointed as inspector of boiler. So the first legal boiler representation is Selangor Boiler Enactment 1892. Meanwhile, in Perak, legislation was first legislated in 1903. Okay, in 1908, the state then federal Malay states legislation has their own boiler, and all the examiners are at the time known as inspector of boiler. So this is the figure of boiler, the power generator, and you can see the labeling, the furnace, water pipe, smokestack, where the steam out, hot gas, water in. So how the steam engine work, water tube boiler. Okay, next is the machinery safety era in 1914 to 1952. So at the 1st January 1914, the representation of steam boiler in the Malay state was repealed, and with machinery enactment of 1913. So enactment of 1913, inspector were not only inspection of steam boilers, but also other machinery, including internal combustion engine, water turbine and related support equipment installation. So at the same time, the position of boiler inspector also and replaced by the Inspector of Machinery and Assistant Inspector of Machinery. So in 1932, Machinery Enactment of 1913 was repealed and replaced with Machinery Enactment 1932. So inspection and registration and inspection of installation were enforced. So the Inspector of Machinery is under the administration of the Mines Department, which is the machinery branch. So this was because of the machinery concentrated in the mining sector at that time. Okay, next, the industrial safety era in 1953 until 1967. Machinery branch is under the Department of Mines until 1952. Branch machinery has been separate from the Department of Mines and assumed the name of Machinery Department. So separation is necessary because most of the developed examination outside of the mining industry. So in 1953, all machinery used in the enactment has been repealed and replaced with Machinery Ordinance 1953. So with the enforcement of Ordinance 1953, the role of examiner is not more focused on the safety of boilers or machinery, but also include the safety of workers in the factory where the machinery was used. So Ordinance 1953 has a shortfall in the health aspect workers, even though there are regulations on safety, health and the workers under the ordinance, but it is not fully enforced. Okay, next, in industrial safety and health era in 1970 until 1994. In 1967, the Factories and the Machinery Act was approved by Parliament. So in 1970, the Factories and Machinery Act and 8 regulations made under it were enforced. Machinery Ordinance 1953 was repealed and the name of department was changed to Factory and Machinery. So the inspector who enforced the act called Inspector of Factories and Machinery. So this act is designed to overcome lacking found in the Machinery Ordinance 1953 in terms of scope of coverage of workers, where workers in the workplace is not machinery are also covered. Okay, after 1994, the occupational safety and health era. So the new legislation endorsed Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994. So Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994 Act 514 has been approved by the Parliament in 1993 and was gazetted on February 1994. So this legislation was made in view of the Factory and Machinery 1967 only covered occupational safety and health in the sector manufacturing, mining and quarrying and construction, which safety and health of worker in the other industry do not cover. So Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994 is aimed to foster and promote safety awareness among health workers and also create organizational with effective safety and health regulations. So this is done through self-regulation scheme that relevant to the industry or related organization. Okay, the part of OSHA in 1994. The Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994, Act 514, is a piece of Malaysian legislation which was gazetted on 25 February 1994 by the Malaysian Parliament. So the principle of Act is to make further provision for securing the safety, health and welfare of person at work, for protecting others against risk to safety or health in connection with the activities of person at work, to establish the National Council for Occupational Safety and Health and for matters connected therewith. Okay, the Act applied throughout Malaysia to the industrial specified in the first schedule. So the thing in this Act shall apply to work on board ship governed by the Merchant Shipping Ordinance 1952. So the the Merchant Shipping Ordinance 1960 of Sabah or Sarawak, or the Armed Force. Okay, part of OSHA, another part of OSHA 1994, the Act contained 67 sections divided into 15 parts and append with 3 schedules. So the first 3 parts state the object of the Act and provide the infrastructure for appointment of officers and the National Council. Okay, so for part 4 and 5, for part 4 until part 6, provide the general duties for those who create risk. For example, employers, self-employed person, designer, manufacturer, supplier, etc., and those who work with the risk, such as employees. Okay, this is what the part of OSHA in 1994 in section 15 until 19, where it's provide workplace free from hazard and comply with OSHA standard, provide training required by OSHA standard, keep records of injuries and illness, provide medical exam when required by OSHA standard, provide workers access to their medical record and exposure, not discriminate against workers who exercise their right under the Act Section 11C, post OSHA citation and abatement verification notice, and provide and pay for PPE, personal protective equipment. So in the part where the section 24 until 27, the right to a safe and healthful workplace, right to know about hazardous chemical, right to information about injuries and illness in the workplace, right to complain and request hazard correction from employer, right to training. Okay, now we go to what is OSH management system. So Occupational Health and Management System, OSH-MS, is a set of plans, action and procedure that assist an organization to systematically manage health and safety risks associated with their business. So the overall aim of OSH-MS is to continuously improve OSH performance through the effective management of OSH risks and activities in workplace. So OSH Safety and Health Committee Regulation in 1996, we have 6 parts, which is the part 1 is preliminary, second part 2 is composition, part 3 function of Safety and Health Committee, part 4 meetings, part 5 provisions of training and information, part 6 is penalty. Okay, so these are the general terms: the authorized manager, chairman, director general, member, near miss accident, safety audits, safety and health auditors, secretary. Okay, so next we go to the organization related to OSH. Okay, there are 3 organizations that related to OSH. First of all is DOSH. So DOSH is under the Ministry of Human Resource Malaysia. It enforcement and promotional works that employers, self-employed persons, manufacturers, designer, importers, suppliers and employees always comply with existing legislation, guideline and code of practice. So DOSH formulate and review legislation, policies, guideline and codes of practice pertaining to occupational safety and health and welfare. So as a basis in ensuring safety and health at work. So next is NIOSH. So NIOSH is an organization that carried out various training activities such as courses, workshop and seminar in order to fulfill the industry's workforce need and wants. So it also involved in research and development activities which are done in accordance with its Memorandum and Act. Okay, and NIOSH also offer consultation and the use of its facilities to students who doing the research, and also promoting safety and health through information and dissemination, conducting examination accordance to person to become competent person in OSH, And lastly is SOCSO. SOCSO is registration of employer and employee, collecting contribution, processing benefit claims, and make payment to the injured workers and their dependents. So SOCSO provides vocational and physical rehabilitation benefits and enhance occupational safety health awareness of workers. Okay, next we go to the reference. Okay, the reference, you may refer some references that listed here. There are 3 references. If you want to go through and you want to see the details. Okay, so setakat itu saja. So that's all from me. Thank you.